Hey everybody, what's up? It's AJ with Hippie Fertilizing, the More Than Just Grass podcast. Here with Gardy at Clear Life Media. Today we're streaming live. Gardy, how fun was this getting this together this morning?
You know, it was a lot of fun. You never know what's going to happen whenever you're live streaming. Today we're live streaming in League City from the Clear Life Media headquarters. The League City Regional Chamber of Commerce is next door. They're having their meeting. I know you're a big member of the chamber, but whenever it comes to putting on live events in the community or even here at Clear Life, you never know what's going to happen. It's a lot of fun. It is fun.
Yes, and a little bit of technical difficulties, right? Always kinks to work out. Oh, like I've made a lot of live videos on Facebook over the years. And you know how connection is everywhere, right? Like, sometimes it works great, other times it doesn't work at all. Like, one of my buddies from Healthy Soil Organics, he's like, AJ, you're the youngest old man I've ever met. And sometimes when technology doesn't work for me, I just want to, like, throw it. You know?
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah. But anyway, we had a nasty storm last night, right? Did your power go off?
You know, it did, but I wasn't at my house, and so I kind of got caught on the way home in the storm, and I had to pull over at 646 off of 45 because you couldn't see. It just got so dark so quick. Had my family with me, and that's pretty stressful, right?
Yeah, very.
But as soon as the light like kind of cleared and cut through the clouds, we were able to drive again. But my power did go out, so whenever I got home, I saw that things had been off, but it wasn't like, you know, there's like a million people or something that were out of power. I had some friends who were saying, hey, I don't have any power. Mine just must have flickered or something because things, I could tell like clocks had been reset and stuff like that.
Right. Apparently Houston had almost 500,000 people out of power and all over the area. I was chatting with some people on Facebook and stuff. And this morning they were still out of power.
Right.
So with that being said, right, I guess maybe we had some tornadoes touch down in the Houston area.
Mm-hmm.
Being in the lawn care industry and having had a tree business, I had a tree business for 4 years, and I still talk with other people in the tree industry. I talk to master certified arborists. I have a little bit of knowledge in arboriculture myself, and I just want to put like a warning out there to people. Don't get duped in this, what do you call it, doing tree trimming for storms and hurricanes and tornadoes. All right, you ever like try to get prepared for something? No matter how prepared you got, something still failed.
Right. Yeah.
And I see that. I have heard that a lot over the years. To me, it's like the tree version of Weed and Feed. Okay? You know, the 3-in-1, it's going to fix all your problems. Let me tell you, it doesn't. You know, you ever see like that person's house they got the El Camino on cinder blocks. They don't mow their grass. They haven't trimmed their trees in like 17 years, if ever. Okay? This is how the storm works. It will probably pass that house and miss everything.
Right.
Right? And you're thinking, what the heck? That person did nothing to prepare for this, and that El Camino is still on cinder blocks. Right? Mm-hmm. And next door is the person who's got the shutters. They trimmed their trees. They did all this other stuff. And poof, that's where the tornado touched down.
Yeah.
Which, I don't want to put it too lightly. That is some very serious stuff. Can definitely cause a lot of, you know, possibly heartache, financial burdens, things like that when those things happen. But I want to highly encourage you to not get caught up in buzzwords like wind sailing. Wind sailing in the tree industry is a sales pitch that is bullshit. Fortunately, like, you're in a slightly newer development, so don't ever let anyone tell you that crap for like at least another 20 years.
Yeah.
Okay?
The trees are small.
Yeah.
The trees are still small.
They're not hurting anything if those fall over.
Right.
But we're in League City. We do have a lot of huge oaks around here. Something that should be of concern is we also have a lot of what's called Arizona ash trees. Now those the scary thing about them is they can look perfectly healthy. You can just have had them trimmed, and they will have rotting areas on the limbs that you don't see until that whole limb falls off. So that's like one tree I'll make an exception of. If you want to hack that sucker all the way back to a stump, go for it. Because if they're about 50 years old, chances are they're getting really close to rotting out and falling and becoming a hazard anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not a fan of, saying that sort of stuff because, of course, with hippie fertilizing, we want to promote biodiversity. We want to promote things that help us to keep the trees, to support the bees, to have wildflowers, all that sort of stuff. So taking down our trees over some leaves or fear-mongering of the next storm isn't where I come from. Never did, even when I had my tree business. So if you hear that term, everyone, in the next few days, like, oh, let's get prepared for the next storm, back off a little bit. Don't let that person sell you into over-trimming your tree. Like, have you seen that sort of stuff?
I actually have, like, people talking about, hey, trim your trees before the storm. And it's actually some PSAs that we worked with some of the cities that were asking us to put out. And, and I never really thought of it that way, but I know one thing that they did also push was like, hey, make sure that the ditches are clear. And for that, I was like, hey, that does seem like it's pretty important because if it is going to rain, make sure the ditches are clear. But I have heard of the trim your trees, now's the time to do it, it'll help. And I think it's, whether it's misinformation or just kind of being passed down what's being, I hate to say fed from above, that's the message, but I have seen it.
Well, trimming your trees isn't bad.
Okay.
I want to make it clear that trimming your trees is good. Keeping them maintained is great. Keeping them lifted up above the road so they're not knocking over our Amazon trucks,
Yeah.
It's great. But there's a thing called lion tailing where they will skin out a branch or all the branches and leave you little tiny puffs like on the end of a lion tail on the whole tree. And what it can do is it'll cause irregular growth moving forward and cause those branches to be weaker. So then in the next storm, they're actually more likely to snap. Or a few years down the road. Because especially with our live oaks, you're not going to see stuff in the span of 6 months or even a year. But in 3 to 5 years, you'll see a huge difference. And when we think of tree care, it's not like lawns. I can fix lawns in 30 days.
Yeah.
Most of the time. Trees, you see responses in 6 months to a year, 2 years. So you got to have a little bit more long-term thinking on how you approach tree care versus lawn care.
So I have a question about that. So would it take 6 months to see the negative effects of a tree? If you have a good, healthy tree, maybe there's some things that are affecting it. I don't know the different things that can affect it, but would it take that long before you saw the negative effects?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And sometimes even a lot longer. When I had my tree business, oh, man, there would be times where we would be trying to cut down a tree, and we found concrete poured in them, because sometimes they'll get a hole or they'll get a wound, and one of the methodologies people will use is put, what is that, great stuff? You ever heard of that?
No.
It's called great stuff. It's like a foam
Okay.
to fill in the hole so that it doesn't get full of water and rot from the inside.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Well, what some people have done in the past and probably still do, so if your tree guy is trying to fill your tree with concrete, fire him immediately, okay? Or people will put, say, like a chain around a fence or a tree for a dog or
Right.
up on limbs to hang a tire swing or something, and then leave it there. And then that grows over time and creates a huge weak spot. So kind of like my PSA to everyone is, again, don't get scammed on the whole, we're, prepping your tree for the storm. Whether you believe in God or not, okay, I believe that when it's going to happen, it's going to happen. Not saying don't trim them, not saying don't take care of them, but don't overdo it because that can cause a lot of unnecessary stress to your tree. And I'll go back to having oak trees. I have 2 huge, beautiful oak trees in my backyard. what I've learned, and I've looked into some studies that presented information that says the more dense the tree is, the more the wind is likely to go over the tree. So if you have a bunch of more dense, healthy trees, then you're actually creating this umbrella effect that can help protect the tree, can help protect your home, and the bigger areas. So, yeah, just don't get oversold on that stuff. If it was that big of a deal, then our homes would be demolished, right? And people will see like one tree impact one house. Does it suck? Absolutely, right? But at the same time, it happened to one home or a few homes out of millions. And I think we don't see the bigger picture on those numbers. So we're like, oh, it could have been my house.
Right. Yeah.
No, it's not. It could.
Yeah. You know, one thing you brought up earlier, like, as much as you prepare, like I think about going on vacation or even we're going to go do a live stream, as much as you prepare, you know, there's always something that happens or something you forget or, man, we should have done this. And so not that you shouldn't prepare at all, but also, I mean, if it happens, it happens, you know, with anything.
Absolutely.
Right.
And other things to keep in mind, we do have a ton of newer homes, newer developments, and even ones that are, I would consider a little bit older. And when I say a little bit older, I'm talking like 10 years. Mm-hmm. Okay? You know how many trees I see that are smaller trees that still have their bracing wrapped on them? Guys, everyone out there, if you've been in your home longer than a year and you have your bracing around your tree, take it off. Okay? Your tree is not into that kind of bondage.
Yeah.
All right? Keep the whips and chains to the bedroom.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. You know, whenever we've done something in the past, and you brought that up before, I had to go to my house. And this would probably have been like 3 or 4, I don't know how long ago it was. It was probably like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Or something like that. And I was like, are mine still on there? It's just something I don't think about.
Right.
You know, you see it all the time. And somebody's watching right now, and I know for a fact they're like, oh, I'm going to go check because they're going to be on your trees. And so I took mine off then. But you know what?
So you did have them
I did.
At one point.
Yes.
And then because of that conversation.
Because of you.
Yeah.
My trees thank you.
You're welcome. And they look beautiful, too.
Yeah.
They're healthier. They're not being restricted. Take the bracing off. Take off the little piece of hose that's wrapped around. Because it doesn't matter if it was a hose or a rope or
chain or whatever.
Especially worse, some people do it with just a wire, which will get wrapped into that bark even faster. Right? And I've had to go through and basically, as carefully as I could, chisel out those things, and you hope that it heals, because if you take away the bark all the way around in a certain layer all the way around, you can like kill the tree, because that's like it's veins, right? That's how it circulates nutrients and water and things like that. So there's been occasions, luckily they're very small trees, and they are relatively easier to replace than, say, like a 40-year-old oak. Right? But I've done it, and I've gone back on those trees 6 months, a year later. They're actually thriving when they didn't hardly have any new growth. Nothing was happening, and customers were like, wow, dude, I didn't know that was affecting it. I'm like, yeah, I mean, don't try this, but imagine walking around with a plastic bag around your head. Not going to be very effective, right?
Yeah.
Don't do it. It's not a suggestion. Don't get weird.
Somebody's doing it. Somebody's going to do it. You know, okay, this is related, and I don't think it hurts anything. But what I wasn't able to do whenever I took those wires off, they have these green stakes, and I think they knock them down in there. So I was like pulling on it. I'm like, how long is this stake, and how hard did they hit it in there? Because mine are still there, not attached to anything. I'm pretty sure they're just like hanging out there. Oh. I might have gotten like like one of them out or something, but dude, that's in there. I don't know what I need to get that out.
So I'm glad you brought that up. Another suggestion is, again, the smaller that you do this, the earlier that you do this with the tree, the easier it is to take that out, because the roots will grow over it and around it. So that can really hold it up.
Okay.
You see these much older trees, 10, 15 years, and the stakes are right there on them. And I'm always worried that as that stake rusts out, it's going to negatively impact the health of that tree. So there we're causing a problem just because we didn't think about it 15 years before.
Right.
Unfortunately, right? But if you have newer trees and the roots aren't all bound around that thing, get the water hose out and soak that area. And then it's much easier to wiggle it out. And I follow like a little, back and forth, side to side, lean that sucker like a cholo, right?
Okay, yeah.
And it makes it easier to wiggle out. Like just trying to pull it out, brute force.
Yeah, it wasn't
dude,
working.
Even like the beefiest guys at the gym ain't doing that on a lot of cases.
Okay, so just wet the ground right there, soften it up some, and then just kind of work it a little bit.
Correct.
Awesome.
This
Okay.
makes it so much easier to rip out. And there's tools. There's a jack specifically for those as well. I used to have one. I think I gave it to one of my landscape buddies because one day I'm just like, dude, I hate these things.
Not doing this anymore.
Y'all deal with more trees than me, so have at it.
Yeah.
And I learned about just getting it wet.
Right.
It made it so much easier because dealing with that tool is sometimes a pain.
So this morning, whenever I was leaving to come up here to Clear Life, I did turn off my sprinklers
Yeah?
because I figured, we got a good rain in. When should I start thinking about turning those back on? Like, should I have left it on?
No. I'm glad you did. And we have had some pretty frequent rain recently. Good, decent storms, good, decent amount of water going down. So I would definitely count those as replacements for irrigating the lawn. I would check the weather and put them back on within about 3 days, though.
Okay.
Because we're definitely getting to that part of the year where we're hitting low 90s. It's getting hotter. Things will dry out faster. But again, to kind of go back with what we talked about before with the irrigation, let's try to maximize our duration and minimize our frequency. So let's say you have regular spray heads, 12 minutes, maybe twice a week. Rotary heads, 25 minutes twice a week. If you have MP rotators, if you don't know what they are, look them up. They look all pretty. Set those suckers for like 45 minutes. Okay? 30, 45 minutes. Those need to run the longest, guaranteed, every time. Okay? But maximize duration and try to minimize frequency.
Okay. Is there anything else we should be thinking of or on the radar with the weather that we got last night?
Like you brought up, keeping the ditches clear is super important, but also, I know I go around in my neighborhood, and sometimes, or in my neighborhood, I lie, I don't go around that far, okay? Just like the end of my street.
Just like walking from the car to the house, right?
Well, yeah.
Taking the trash can out.
Well, to the end of the street.
Yeah.
On my street, when it rains really super hard, the end of my street floods. It's real deep. Even when I had my 2500 4x4, it was a little bit higher. Like, that sucker would get in the water on a heavy rain event. So I'll go out and clear out the drains on the street just to help improve the flow. If you see trash out there in your neighborhoods, please pick it up because, yes, maybe the neighbor did it or the trash guy missed the truck or whatever. But if our drains are getting filled up, then guess what? That means we're more likely to flood.
Mm-hmm.
So let's do our due diligence as a community to pick up some trash, pick up the crap around the drain, because that will significantly improve flow.
Okay.
All right? So please think about that. Irks me. I didn't do it. I don't care.
Just pick it up.
Yeah.
Especially your neighborhood, because everybody kind of has to, like it's a village. Like everybody's taking care of each other, and those things, if people ignore it, it adds up.
Right.
Yeah.
And hey, I'm guilty. I've been driving around, stuff flowing out of the back of my truck. I'm not proud of it, but it's happened, and I'm not stopping on 45 necessarily to whip around and pick up a plastic bag.
Right.
So I figured, you know what? That happened. I'm going to try and go pick up a few more plastic bags somewhere else to try and make up
that makes sense.
for what flew out of my truck.
Hey, have you ever had anybody like this in your life? My friend Kurt, I don't know if you know him or not. He's a trip, right? He said that he used to hang out with this person and that they were a kind of person that would just roll their windows down and just throw trash out on the floor. And I'm like, what is going through your head? Like, what happened in your life, or did you see maybe you just don't know any better. But to me, that's a trip. Like, and why Texas had to be like, don't mess with Texas, and do a huge campaign for years. I haven't really seen that pushed as much because I feel like people are maybe just realizing common sense. Like, I finished this McDonald's. Maybe I shouldn't throw it out the window.
Dude, right? I'm glad you brought that up. That is funny. I was about 19 years old, lived in the Austin area, or Round Rock, had a friend. I didn't let no one eat in my car. I had like a nice little car.
Smart.
Smelled good.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need your French fries in my seat, okay? We're chilling in a parking lot waiting on something, and she takes this bag of trash we had in there and just dumps it out on the side of the car. And I said, no, ma'am. You're going to pick that up and go throw it away.
Right.
She looked at me like I lost my mind, right? But I tell you what, she was like, wow, AJ, you're really serious about that. I said, yeah, dude, I live here, like on planet Earth. That's nasty. And she picked it up, threw it away, and I just remember so clearly, even moving forward, she didn't let none of her friends play that crap no more.
Yeah.
I hope and I think that I've like changed the way she thought about it forever.
Right.
Yeah.
At least like planted a seed.
Yeah.
And then maybe that's going to affect someone else. But
like even yesterday, I was walking into Kroger. I look down. There's a Ready ice bag, empty, and I just lean over. I pick it up, throw it away. Some lady's looking at me, and maybe she was having a goofy day for a minute, and then saw what I did and smiled.
right.
Like, you know, hey, sometimes we did it. A lot of times we didn't. But that doesn't mean we can't be a part of the solution.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it gets me like excited and a little sometimes.
Yeah. All that to say, it doesn't hurt. Pick up something. I've seen like people who are like the president or CEO of a place bend down, pick up trash, and then also I feel like as an employee, if that was like my boss, it's like, man, if I see them doing that or they care that much, then I should too. It kind of spreads that. Or even like as a family, if my kid sees me do that, maybe they'll be able to do the same. Or, hey, can you grab that? And anytime I've ever tried to do yard work, it's not that much, AJ. Don't get too excited. But if my kids are out there or whatever, I'm like, hey, let's go do this together. Let's go. Or even, hey, let's clean up your room. I'll help you. Let's do it together or whatever it is. It kind of helps, I think, at least an example of, hey, I'm doing this. Hey, go grab that one over there, you know, and I'll get these. And even if I'm doing all the work, at least I feel like it's inspiring. Hey, Dad's leading by example, not just sending me out there and bossing me around to do something.
Do as I do and not as I say.
Right.
Right? And being an awesome influence. Yeah, I used to help out with the Clear Creek Environmental Foundation a lot.
Mm-hmm.
You heard of them?
Yes.
And used to help out with the cleanups. Get out there. We're pulling out tires. One time we pulled out a whole freaking hot tub.
So is that people that are dumping stuff in there, or they just drop it there and it ends up working its way into it? Or what's up with that?
It's a mixture of like these heavy rain events will wash stuff in unintentionally, right? But there is a lot of like illegal dumping or just carelessness, right? I noticed for a long time, and maybe it just wasn't popular yet, that in all my years of helping with the cleanup, I always found more light beers out there.
Yeah.
You don't see craft beer out there. And I'm wondering, is it because people who drink craft beer like aren't out here? Or is it because we just kind of care a little bit more? And you're not going to find my Voodoo Ranger IPA cans everywhere.
Yeah.
But you find you some Bud Light, some Natural Light, and all the lights.
Yeah.
You know?
I think it's a mixture of both.
Yeah. It probably wasn't as popular. It definitely wasn't a few years back. So
Right.
I'm not really trying to hate on all the Bud Light drinkers, okay? But you just see all kinds of stuff. Or something that got a little frustrating, but I noticed smoking cigarettes has changed, right?
Oh, right,
It's a lot less significant. But you know what took its place?
It's the vapes.
Oh my goodness, dude, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, this didn't change make it better. You just got now this stupid little vape.
It's like batteries. Batteries and plastic, and it was replaced with these other things instead.
Cigarette filters are so bad for the environment. So your little vape pen isn't?
Yeah, let's add
Come
some
on,
batteries.
Dude. Yeah.
Robo-cigs.
But definitely, like, everyone can be a part. We are a part every day of something good or bad, right? So even if it's a little tiny thing, when I take my dog for a walk, I clean up trash around 518. and throughout the neighborhood, there's always a plastic bag somewhere
Yeah.
to fill up.
Just grab, if you find, that's a good rule. Find a plastic bag, grab it, and then you're going to find some trash.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Or on trash day too, right? Everyone's trash cans are out, so I'm like, boop, thank you.
Popping it in.
Thank you. You know, put a little prayer out for whoever's trash can I use. Thank you. Right?
I can see people getting mad about that.
Yes. Oh, and you know, last reminder before we wrap this up on this one. It did just rain. We're going to get more rain. I'll say it over and over again. Don't go put out your fertilizer before it rains. Especially your 3-in-1 and your weed and feed. Okay? On these heavy events, if that happens, we just had a ton of that crap going to Clear Creek and Galveston Bay. Let me tell
Fertilizer,
you.
straight fertilizer.
No, and herbicides.
And herbicides.
And yeah, we don't need extra nitrogen in the water. It's going to get hotter. It's going to help produce a process called eutrophication. We'll go into that later. But always, read the package, water your fertilizer in, don't wait for it to rain. None of that, because it is just, it's not good for the environment. And if it didn't happen to rain, it ain't going to be good for your grass either.
Yeah.
If you forgot to water in your Scott's Bonus S, you're going to have a lot of stress. So, man, thank you, Gardy. Dude, y'all, check out hippiefertilizing.com if you're in the League City area. You may or may not know this. I also have my own fertilizer, 824. It works excellent on sod installations, too. So if you're not using 824 on a sod installation, is it even a professional sod installation?
It may not be.
Probably not, you know. And I have found a natural way to help with killing weeds, even though it's not my favorite thing.
Right.
So check out our website again. We have a link to Fiesta Weed Killer, which is iron-based and helps oxidize the weeds, kill them, knock them out. So as much as we want to support biodiversity and soil biology, I know the clover's bugging y'all, and we do have a better way of tackling it. So, anything else, Gardy?
Man, no, I just want to say thank you all for tuning in. We are streaming this live on Hippie Fertilizing's YouTube page. This is our first time to do this live, a live podcast right now. And I know it's in 4K. We made an upgrade on our YouTube and on our website for Clear Life Media as well. So thank you all for being a part of this. Make sure you go subscribe to Hippie Fertilizing on YouTube. Check out Clear Life Media. Appreciate you, AJ.
Appreciate you, Gardy.
We drop these on Fridays.
Whoop, whoop.
The More Than Just Grass podcast.
Yeah, like and subscribe, y'all.
Y'all be blessed.